I'm Gemma Bagley.
And I'm James Chantry, we're both from Charnwood Arts.
And in 2018 we were commissioned by Leicestershire County Council and Charnwood Museum to make a short film for Holocaust Memorial Day 2019. We then commissioned Lydia Towsey, performance poet, to work with Year 6 pupils at Cobden Primary School.
So I'm Lydia Towsey and I'm a poet and performer, spoken word artist, and I've been today here with Charnwood Arts at Bow Manor Hall. I've been here with Charnwood Arts and 50 10-year-olds. And I've been working with them to think about the Second World War and specifically reflect on the work and the lives of the undercover operatives that worked in the Second World War. We've been reflecting on the theme of home, specifically because the theme of World Holocaust Memorial Day is torn from home. We've been doing all sorts of things all day together. In the morning, the people of Bow Manor Hall have taken the children and us to look at two sites, Morse Cottage, which is a mocked-up listening station, so you've got the listening on one side, and then a pretend Bletchley Park on the other side, and the children have been running between the two sides of the room, listening and decoding. And then we've also had a sort of a mocked-up real-life siren air raid experience, where we've listened to the real sounds of an airstrike and thought about what it would be like to be in an air raid shelter. And I'm quite frightened, really, and it was quite frightening, but it gave us a real insight into what it would have been like. And in the afternoon, I've been doing poetry with the children, looking at those experiences and thinking about how words might make sense of it all. But we're going to be doing more writing as well. We're going to be thinking about notions of home, because the theme for this project is torn from home. So what might it be like if you were billeted to Bow Manor Hall, as many women were in the Second World War, and you had to live here, leave another part of the country, leave your family, leave whatever job you'd been doing before, or you might be living in Quorn, the local village, but still working here. So what would that have been like, thinking about home and what we think of it?
Home is playing on my piano.
My fingers move like the wind.
And you're going to hear the beautiful sound tinkling in my ear.
Home is playing on my phone, pressing buttons to call someone. Home is my mum's cooking. Lasagna's bubbling. Home it can wait young.
And watching things on my TV, the light that reflects from water screen, and candles in my house smells like a blossom amazing. Home is the sound of my siblings, opening their mouths and never shutting them, and flowers, a small growing thing. Home is having fun with my brother, playing cricket in the garden.
Home is running in the rain.
Home is a haiku bed, a very soft bed, very comfortable, nice and warm.
Home is the night sky. I see the night sky out my window shining as the stars dazzle.
Home is PlayStation, my favourite console.
Home is PlayStation, the dark blue controller. Home is playing with my dogs, hands clasped around the green ball. Dogs running faster than a PlayStation, fingers are clicking.
Chameleons. Changing the colours, camouflaged out of nowhere, gripping onto trees. Home is 1,000 workbooks. Home is studying, writing.
Home is a basement, the eerie cellar. People paralysed, not a single scream.
Torn from home, forced to fight. Home is an action, a feeling.
I've been particularly interested to be part of this project because it turns out one of my relatives was a spy. My great aunt Peggy was a special agent operative in the Second World War and after. She worked at Bletchley Park, and then she went on to work at GCHQ. Lots of parents had to do stuff in the Second World War and go away from home and give up their civilian jobs. But your mum was recruited to be an operative, to work for eventually what became GCHQ, and her career continued after the war. She didn't go back to a civilian job. Her job was that. How did you feel when you found out your mum did something slightly different?
I didn't.
You didn't, so you didn't know really till much,
No, I
much
didn't.
later, or you didn't think anything.
As far as I was concerned, my mother had a job.
Because it was normal to you. That's what she'd
Yes.
always done, and all the memory you had. Yeah,
Precisely.
okay. There was a list of the children's questions, and they ask these questions about the relationship with your mother, and I think it's hard because you can't really answer these questions because A, it wasn't an unusual thing for you. You just always remember your mum doing the job she did, and it probably wasn't really talked about, I imagine, because of the secretive nature of it. Bow Manor Hall was a listening station in the Second World War, right up until the 70s, I understand. A listening station in that people, mostly women actually, were recruited to listen in for enemy messages, and they were written down here and then sent to Bow Manor, to Bletchley Park over in Milton Keynes to be decoded.
I heard crack creaking like someone kicking a door open.
Pencil stabbing, a jar lid being dropped.
I heard feet rubbing on the floor, breathing, swallowing.
Tapping of pens like a very quick watch.
I heard paper moving. I can hear chairs creaking like cats growling.
Loud coughing like a drum being vigorously slammed.
I heard shoes surging.
And pens and pencils being turned like slow taps onto the floor.
I can hear footsteps of the teachers. Whispers in the rooms bouncing from the walls.
Pencils rapidly writing in hands of kids.
And it's breaking like a board game scratch one into title.
People writing sounds. People moving their feet like tap dance.
People putting their pencils down carefully, like putting away a delicate thing.
My mother and I lived at 14 Templar Road in North Oxford. And we just had a room.
Right.
And I used to spend I was at boarding school.
Yeah.
I used to spend my holidays
Yeah.
with Joan Sullivan, who
Right.
owned that house. Yes. I still don't know, in capital letters, that she had periods away from home.
Yeah. And all we have, but interestingly, what we do have to go on is this visitor's book, which you showed me last time, which is the visitor's book for this house. And
Yes.
I've been fascinated to plot the comings and goings between 1939 and 1951 of both you and your mother to this house. This afternoon, I photographed each of these pages. I projected them up on a screen in their classroom, and we went through it all together. And they were equally interested in the way that you arrived together. Though often you would be at the house together, but you'd have arrived and left at different times. I guess your boarding school stuff would have come in there to explain it as a reason, and your mum's work. And then it continued, there were, throughout the war, lots of references to you arriving alone, because that's, you were coming back from boarding school, and your mum would have been elsewhere doing this other work, quite unusual work nonetheless, even for its time.
Dear Mum and Dad.
Dear Mum, dear Mum,
Dear Grandad.
Dear sister. Dear Emma.
dear Mum.
I really missed you and I'm writing to see if you are good and not bombed.
I'm dropping you a line to tell you how I'm doing.
Mum, you'll never guess who I am.
I can't really tell you, but I can describe it. It's like a summer beach and green scenery.
There are long rocky paths leading to the door, and the house itself looks a little bit like a castle.
I've got my own bedroom and food is very good.
The room is very damp, dirty and unhygienic. There's an uncomfortable bed in the left corner, which I hate. Also, it is so cold in here. You don't need to be worried because I live near airy shelter.
I can't tell you much, but there are beautiful trees and green grass.
I am being fed well and getting treated like a king.
It feels like I've made a new family, but also been taught so many things.
My new job is not very different to my old one as an electrician. It's dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
There's still lots of pressure and it's very noisy as I'm working with machines.
The hours are longer, but at least there are no crying babies.
When it comes to work, I have to concentrate and do things that might be hard for a regular person, like remembering.
In my spare time, I have a cup of tea and relax.
I'm sitting down more now than I did when I was a national show jumper.
My job was a lot more fun, but I still get to work with letters.
Anyway, I feel like I'm singing too much.
I miss driving and going to the small cafe where I drank coffee and ate my breakfast.
I miss just going to the back garden and smelling the flowers.
I miss your cooking and the old house. Is my brother alright?
I miss you the most because I love your funny jokes. I miss the corner shop at the end of our street. Is everything okay with the old man that works there? I'll never forget the amazing chocolate he gave us that Halloween night. Sweet caramel and hazelnuts. Stay safe. Tell everyone I said hi and I'll be back soon. I hope.
But what about other children, say, living now? it was a similar situation. Obviously, not having an undercover operative as a parent, though who knows. But I mean, children, for whatever reason, you have to move from place to place. And I'm thinking of children that might be fleeing a war zone and are in this country as refugees, and they've had to move country, not just
which is very much in the news at the moment, isn't it?
And then once you get into a new country in that situation, probably will find themselves moving from address to address as they find the right place to be, school to school. And then there are other reasons to move at location. I mean, without being a refugee, there are children perhaps now who are having to move from address to address because their family situation changes or their parents' work situation changes.
Well, if I were them, I'd be very, very worried.
I remember gas mask on the ferry for children.
Bombs thundering, banging, exploding.
Whistling a scale.
Lanes quick as light, speeding through the night like cheetahs.
Sirens loud as a lion, high-pitched screaming, droning, wailing.
I remember fire engines, the squirting of the water coming from the pipe.
Mailing, many loudly mailing, burning books, growling, paranoid. Bells ringing, shaking, ding-a-ling-ding.
Submarine drifting down to the bottom of the sea, invisible.
I remember tank, banging sound of guns being fired as it moves along.
Bombing, khaki, killing, camouflage.
Killing, like it meant nothing.
So in terms of what we can thank our parents for, the example they've set us, it sounds like there's a lot of strength and resilience your mother gave you just by leading the life, being the kind of woman that she was.
It's inherited.
Yeah, and you've inherited and observed that social nature nurture thing. But you have certainly, perhaps I think from the outside, absorbed some of this independent spirit from your mother.
I'm sure I did.
Yeah,
I mean, my mother was a very intelligent woman.
Yes, yeah.
Great Aunt Molly was a nun, and Great Aunt Vera played piano. But Great Aunt Peggy was a spy. Her favourite game was Scrabble. She moved the letters, made the words. Nobody could beat her. She knew what to do with an X and a Y. Q and M were familiar figures. Great Aunt Peggy was a spy. She cracked codes for the government. From London town to rural Oxford to Bletchley Park to GCHQ in Gloucestershire. There from the start, war at the door. In 1939, a newly independent single mother. She worked at known and undisclosed locations. Her daughter looked after by an old friend while she flew by plane, train and bicycle. Not so much Batman as Batwoman. Her young Robin, Anne, safe in the castle of a suburban nest. Where she scrambled notes and slowly poached double agents, did she wish she could fly back home in time for bed? Great Aunt Peggy was a spy, linguist, cryptographer, encrypted footprints in invisible ink, an enigma machine wrapped in a quandary. Able to complete the Sunday Times crossword in under 5 minutes, did she answer an advert underneath the adverts on the back page? Was she recruited by telegram? Did they find her floating in a typing pool? Did she meet a man in a beige raincoat and a dark suit, a rolled-up edition of The Angler underneath his left arm? She never talked. We'll never know. Great Aunt Peggy was a spy. Index card cartographer, bomb machine engineer, Colossus computer Colossus. 2/3 of the force were female. Booted footnotes in the script. She was one of the army of women. Joan Clark, Mavis Lever, Margaret Rock, Ruth Briggs, Jean Valentine, Joni Wheeler, Joan Bradshaw, Anne Smith, Jane Nightingale, Vera Atkins, Dot Spencer, Violette Szabo, Peggy Froggatt, née Towsey, one of many unsung names. Great Aunt Peggy was a spy. She cracked codes for the government, proficient in Russian, on the move, sometimes hard to contact. After the war, over and out in undercover Oxford, the fledgling Anne learns her mother has become the first female civil servant to receive a 4-figure annual wage. Today online there are no records. Her shadow falls without a trace. Great Aunt Peggy was a spy. Her favourite game was Scrabble. She knew how to spell the word espionage and triple scored for double O's. When she drew a blank, she took her time and searched the sky for pigeons She read the world between the lines. Her inch-thick specs had X-ray vision. Great Aunt Peggy was a spy, code breaker, operator, anagram for Anne's mam. Married twice, the spy who loved. In 1988, we visited her in sheltered accommodation by the sea. Me, a child of 10, full of questions as we sat around drinking tea. When over a board of crossed words and calculations, the subject arose of her former career. 50 years since she'd signed the Act of Official Secrets. Clock on the wall like a ticking safe. She'd stirred her coffee and fallen silent. You never know who's listening. Then shuffle tiles to win the game.